which we need to take cognizance of if we are talking about a global role for Mumbai. Invariably, and I think this is important, I think let them settle down a bit. Sorry, I'll just take a little while. Okay, we have some people who have to go on for other meetings, and our apologies that this has been delayed quite a bit. But when we are talking about Mumbai in the global context, we are talking about Mumbai not from the livability point of view or its local problems, but its place in the sun in the larger Indo-Pacific. And clearly that part of Mumbai, which has a global outreach, has much to do with shipping and ports and with tourism, both being connected to the world at large. And thirdly, it is with investment. Now in the morning, and actually I'm glad that some things were voiced in the morning. As we can see, there are two visions for Mumbai. It is for Mumbai to choose. Either we become exclusive, keep people out, guard Mumbai for who is here, or we have to let Mumbai open up, not only to the country, but to the world at large. I think there are two very different visions, and it is debates like this which will allow Mumbaikars to see the wisdom of either course. But if we continue to live with the mindset that we've had over the 70s, 80s, 90s, and this century, then I don't think we will move ahead in any sort of particular way. But that is only my own personal input. I think everyone has their own views. And so let's kick this off, first of all, because we have people around here who are involved with ships and port-led development. The Netherlands Consul General had to leave, but he had made some points which were relevant to this roundtable, and we had thought he will say it now. But the bottom question which I'd like to ask everybody on this table is that given the reality of JNPT, is the Mumbai Port Trust relevant for anything other than cruise as a cruise terminal and for tourism? Is there amongst the table, we need to debate that, because quite often we hear that Mumbai port can shift out by some people vehemently, and some people are equally vehement in their view that it is required for the city of Mumbai and for even the goods that the city of Mumbai needs on a regular basis. And if you talk to the authorities, that is the view which is mostly expressed. So may I ask Mr. Day to have his, since he has to leave, could I ask him for his views in the immediate question that I have put across?
Thank you, sir.
Might know that Mr. Day is the Senior Deputy Traffic Manager of the Mumbai Port Trust.
Thank you. So I'll take you a little behind, maybe in year 1989, when Mumbai Port realized that as the city grows and as the infrastructure remains stagnant in terms of its capacity, limitation on expansion, the JNPT port was conceived, developed, financed, executed by Mumbai Port Trust. So JNPT port is an expansion of Mumbai port. It must be understood that JNPT was brought into being realizing that this port need to slowly shrink in size and can't deliver for the future cargo business. That's how JNPT came. In so much that in 96-95, two of the largest container lines were closed from Mumbai port. One of the line was of Anil Devli. That time, I think Anil Devli was in Shreyas, and Orient Express line you had here in Mumbai. We had to shut door on them. We said, you go to JNPT. So there has been a progressive movement towards the shrinking of its activity. When we say closed port, means shrinking of its activity. That's one. Number two is that in the heydays, we were employing 42,000 people. Today, we are employing only 8,000 people, and there are no new recruit, and it's just on the further way down, and probably in 5 years, we'll be left with less than 2,500 or 3,000 people. That's the profile. General cargo has reduced much. So realizing these things, and we are last 7-8 years now focusing on that how to be relevant for the city's needs. Earlier it was port city Mumbai. Now Mumbai has become a city port. It's a port for the city and not for the country as it was earlier. So that march is on. For example, somebody pointed about, some speakers about, we can play a good role in coastal. Yes, we tried, but we failed. Now we failed because many things, most important is regulatory issues, then security issues. These are the most important things, apart from financing is not so much of a concern for us. For example, cement. So we thought how to be relevant to the city. Cement is required in large quantity in Mumbai, and it will be continually required for various projects, housing, construction, coastal roads. We anticipate about 5 million tons of cement is required in the city every year, annual consumption. We developed a project about 5 years ago. We gave tender, and we wanted to bring about 2 million tons of cement from Gujarat by ship, so that relieves the road. We worked out that every day 300 trucks can be taken off the road of Mumbai, Goa, Mumbai, Ahmedabad, or say Mumbai, Gujarat highway, if the ship's traffic continues. We awarded tender, largest manufacturer of cement, Ultratech came, and we allotted big land to develop them silo, and then BMC turned it down, saying that this is not allowed activity here in the port. And of course, where there is a port, there would be nearby mangroves, there would be some coastline, it would be in CRZ areas, and that's been struck down. So we had to return the money, and so we said, okay, so we fail here. So the failure is accounted to the port account. The port is not developing coastal area. But likewise now, lately we thought that's okay, JNPT barges will start bringing, because from JNPT a lot of container comes, cargo goes to Bhiwandi, from Bhiwandi by road it comes to city, clogging the roads in Thane, and again return traffic, it clogs Panvel, everywhere. So we thought it's a short route of barging, and barging is continuous, not that it's not, but we thought that in a more orderly manner. But as we progressed, we realized that it requires a lot of warehousing areas, and we don't have so much of areas like a Bhiwandi area. Even if we have, say, 1/20th of Bhiwandi area, that won't be enough for the numbers which are involved in the game. But anyway, our first tender did not evoke response. We are looking for the next one. So we are on way to be relevant for city and city's need. That's on the coastal cargo front. On cruise shipping, yes, we did promote it in a big way. But again, the issues extraneous to the port, like taxes, that kept us around. In 2007 and 2008, I want to share that 2 years, there was a ship called Superstar Libra. I handled it, and the tourism went on up to 78,000 persons per year. Suddenly, one night, the ship decided we cancel Mumbai sailings, India sailing rather. Why? Because the government of India brought a law that had a retrospective effect, amending Maritime Zone Act, that the taxation is applicable up to 200 nautical miles from retrospective 1975. So they bundled out and they went away. Thereafter, after such a bad experience of such a big line on the world, so they shut completely Mumbai and India from its radar. But then some efforts continued, And fortunately, for last 2 years, there has been a lot of interest generated. As Suresh Kumar Saab has said, there is a attempt for domestic cruising, and hopefully it should run well. We are looking forward. We made a special cruise terminal for it. So that is about cruising. And of course, on international cruising, we are also developing a huge cruise terminal of 300 crores. I want to give you some more important insight, probably may not be known. In 2008, we commissioned the best consultant in the cruising industry called Bermelo and Ajamil, headquartered in Miami. They have done a lot of projects in Miami. They came out with a report, and we wanted to develop a cruise terminal little further off Oyster Rock, or I'll say that just off the Radio Club or that side. It was a huge project costing some 1,800 crore rupees, and with the marina for just behind, hotel, everything there. But then again, security concern came, and the Navy said, no, you can't build that. So we killed that project. That was 2010. Then how do we go about? So we have a terminal. So we said that it's better that we demolish this terminal and build something new, which is more relevant to the present needs. And that's how we are almost 300 crore rupees we have set aside to build the terminal. Work is going on, and by December 2019, we hope that it will be completed, provided CRZ permission comes. It has not yet come, and we have already taken a big risk by demolishing the existing one and starting the work. I don't know if it is not going out of this room, as I was assured. Somebody may file some PIL also. So that is the status of cruise shipping, and that's not all. Cruise shipping itself suffers from a lot of taxation issues. Most importantly, that customs issues are yet remaining, and that is going to be a big dampener if it is not repealed. Next is the tourism. For small things, we are unable to get permissions. For example, I'll just highlight, at Gateway of India, whatever facilities is there, this is constructed well, everybody knows, when the King George or somebody, whatever, the gentleman came. Now, thereafter, there was nothing, not a single jetty, except for that period when SKS started a hovercraft and a small pontoon was fixed for this thing, and that invited a lot of criticism, so that was removed and banned and whatever. So then in 2013-12, some accident took place, and we were under tremendous pressure. A lot of people, press gave a negative publicity that Mumbai Port is doing nothing. So we drew up a plan. We said, okay, 500 crore rupees we spend, and right behind where the sir is sitting, there's a Gateway of India, and then the main jetty, we wanted to construct a huge platform of 40 meter by 40 meters, so that 5-6 such small crafts can come alongside. People can wait, can board there as a boarding point, and it can move with the rise and fall of tide. Again, security concern, and we did not get permission. That was from Navy. So this is the kind of, lots of such things are there. I can go on talking about a lot of things I spoke.
I think, thank you for
Sorry.
the Bombay Port Trust part of it. What we'd like to do in this roundtable is to take the discussion beyond what has happened. And I think everybody around this table knows the problems we've had and the recent developments. We have limited time, so may I request all of you to focus on 4 questions which I will sort of moderate, rather than go into the background of each of the organizations concerned. Mr. Day had to leave, so I had cut down my introduction to a sparse talk, but where we are is as follows. The vision that we see is a larger vision than just shipping, trade, or specifics of livability. We do believe, some of us, that the way the world is moving and the way the Indo-Pacific construct is coming into place, and all the larger movements of economic shift, etc., we do believe that Mumbai is actually ideally geographically placed to be this actual center, the actual hub of the larger Indo-Pacific, far more than Singapore or Hong Kong or Sydney or Dubai or anywhere else. We actually believe that that is the place for Mumbai. But as we can see, we have alternative visions in the city. We have large number of people who think the city should not grow beyond a particular amount, both in terms of population or real estate, etc. Elsewhere in the world, if real estate goes up in a city, it is taken as a sign of the city doing well. In India, if real estate goes up, it is taken as a sign of a city being swamped. So there is one Bombay is the Mumbai of a siege mentality, Mumbai for what is, and there is another vision of Mumbai for what can be of the future. No city in the world can have a future if it does not allow free flow of people, free flow of money, free flow of investment. If you don't do that, you're welcome to the present version of Bombay, but it's not going to go any further than that. Now, what we are doing in this session is, and I've got people from shipping here, people from ports, people who are actually involved in that part of the Mumbai, which is linking to the external world, and which is also in a way involved with investment and otherwise. So the specific questions that we could debate on in the short time that we have is, the first problem is that Indian shipping is declining. Today, whilst Indian trade is expanding, and while Indians' balance of payments is both ways is increasing, there are genuine issues here, and all of you could probably weigh in and say, why is Indian shipping, why are Indian shippers increasingly wanting to change their flag to some other country rather than remain in India? Now, some of us know the answers, but if there's anybody who's got a contrary answer, then we'd like to hear that. Second is, what can we do about coastal shipping, which applies not just to Mumbai, but the entire Konkan belt and the Maharashtrian coast, and what, if it works for Mumbai and Maharashtra, can be replicated all across the coastal states of the country. The third is what I mentioned to him because he was leaving, is whether Mumbai Port Trust can be anything more. If you feel it can be anything more than a cruise terminal, then you must please give your views. That can Mumbai Port Trust or should Mumbai Port Trust be anything more than a good cruise terminal? And fourth is that finally, you have to attract investment. It's not just the government of India or the government of Maharashtra which can come up with the money. You can take only that much taxes from the people. Eventually, you have to attract investment. And what are the measures in the shipping and port area that all of you who are dealing with that feel that we can highlight? Much has been written, much has been debated, but in this short time, since all of you are very experienced and all of you have dealt with the ups and downs of this whole scene, can you just please bring to bear your stronger views on the subject, which you really feel should be debated and put across to the populace at large? So if Mumbai has to become the hub of the Indo-Pacific, which has got to do with shipping, ports, investment, tourism, financial center, etc., we all know the present situation. We'd like to hear from you, and you'd like to hear you weigh in on anything that you have which you feel can make a difference. All of us know that the regulatory regimes, the taxation regimes, contract enforcement, all that is part of the larger business, but in this specific area. And so I'll just go around the table, and if you could, given the paucity of time, just keep your remarks short so that we can debate it in the time available to us. Thanks. May I just start with Mr. N.
Sir,
Yeah,
excuse me,
yeah,
sir.
sorry.
Excuse me, sir. Can I intervene a little bit?
Most, sir.
Sir, what I wanted to say, on the, coming to the question thirds, which sir has
Yeah.
posed, just to give that what we are doing so that the port, third question, that what Mumbai port ought to be other than the cruise terminal. So I'll just list out the what efforts we are taking so that everybody knows it, and then from
Sure.
that, as the base of the pyramid, we can build up. Apart from international cruise terminal, domestic cruise terminal, which we are developing and which is now slated for opening on 11th October or 12th October, then there is a big, huge promenade bigger than what even Nariman Point and Marine Drive has. We are developing a big garden of almost 350 hectares in the eastern, as a part of the eastern waterfront development. Then a marina for more than 250 boats in the Princess Dock. Ropacks between Mumbai and Alibag so that cars can straight go into it. A ropeway project so that is connecting Haji Bandar to Elephanta. Then the lighthouse tourism, Kanoji Angre lighthouse tourism, we have developed some jetties there. Then for floating restaurant. And for ferry terminals, of course. So these are the few things which we are doing apart from being a cruise terminal. Thank you.
So has anybody has anything to say on this? What is?
The cruise terminal, you announced it in whatever schemes you are saying today. They were part of the Sagarbala in 2003 also. So I hope we see the light of the day. Because we know these all projects we have heard. And we have seen in the papers that this is going to happen. Because when Mr. Vajpayee was the Prime Minister, that time this was announced. I remember, and then later on, you took a back seat and nothing happened.
Yes.
Of course, we are maintaining your garden, which is Sagar Upar, which means for last 15 years. We are maintaining that garden, upkeeping and all. We are doing it at Kulaba, 13 acres, what they developed and they gave it to us. And we are maintaining for last this is just a small thing, but can I speak of? The main is the coastal shipping. I think today there is a great future for coastal shipping because it will decongest our roads. It is cost effective, less pollution. And this we should encourage. Only thing is, like you set up a port, you require 37 permissions. You go for anything like a floating restaurant, recently somebody who started in Bandra, 82 permissions. So how can you progress? And single window or one desk we can talk. We talk about port-led growth also. But we have to reduce these permissions because our banking laws are such that before you start the project, you are NPA. Because after 18 months, you have to start making payments of your term loan. You can't. You take 3 years to get permissions and environment clearance. Minimum 3 years. So, we have to see the rules and regulation first. We have to strike that. The projects are very ambitious. We should go ahead with that. Coastal shipping is one of the in thing today. At our port, we are doing more than 1 million coastal shipping between Bombay, Gujarat, Mumbai, and other places. The coastal shipping is a good area to work on. With that, we need facilities, and trade facilitation. That's the main thing, because the customs rules and all are very cumbersome. If you are even doing coastal, they harass you. So where to go about? Because they will always say, no, they say put it in anchor one day, then bring it next day, change the flag, change this. So there are many rules which come day to day because we are all in regular day-to-day working, so we know all these issues which come up. Maritime is a big thing. Like, port-based in China, Consul General of China is here. The port-based special economic zone, port-based cities, port-based smart cities, we are talking about. At present, Maharashtra government is also talking about. The land acquisition takes 10 years. And some of the local leaders and all don't allow. But when the development comes, we should be one, which is not there. So all these hurdles which come in the way of growth has to be seen. Making a vision and the project is good. If I would have done the same project in China, I could do it in 18 months. Where in India, I take 10 years. Same project. So how we are able to beat the system? We need rules in place. We need environment to be protected. We are not against all that. But how fast we can do it? At present, it is a little faster than earlier, but not that. You see, we may have a thinking, our Prime Minister may have a thinking, or a Minister may have a thinking, or the Chairman of Port Trust may have a thinking, okay, we want to do this. But at the operating level, it is not there. It has to percolate at the operating level, the thinking and the spirit. And then we can move forward. And that's the way. Now, Marina and all, we have got such a good coastline. All over India, why? Maharashtra 720 kilometers, but otherwise also. But our coastline is not developed at all. We can't move about. Like Mandwa jetty took 15 years for maritime boat to put up. Now we are putting up Ro-Ro and all. We hope by October they say it will be ready and it will start working. So many such things we can do only in Maharashtra itself. India, of course, we have big, vast coastline. But Maharashtra alone. And we are not developed. And we have got such good beaches, we have got such good coastline. Investment opportunities are enough. And I think if you have good projects and the government assures timely permission, the investment will come. The only thing is people say when this project will come. Because everybody is worried about that. Main is. And if we have timely implementation, you will always get investment. And you will get opportunities.
So I think Mr. Kant has only highlighted which almost everybody would agree about over-regulatory process. Is there anyone around the table who thinks that regulation is not an issue? Yeah.
I think, sir, we have to definitely bear this in mind. While I completely agree that regulation, does sometimes become a hindrance, but having been a practitioner, having been in the business, and having represented the Indian shipping industry, I think we often complain about safety regulations, and I think safety at sea is an exceedingly important issue. You're a mariner yourself; you will share my concern. The recent example that Kalantri Saab gave about that hotel, which almost capsized at Worli. My understanding was that he had built decks, or he had built bunk beds below water level. This I don't need to be a mariner to understand that this is unsafe.
I didn't talk about that which got capsized. No. I talked about the first one,
Sir,
which is still operating and which comes every year.
What I'm saying is that it is my view that regulation is required. Worldwide, we follow regulation. When we operate our ships in Europe, we follow regulation. When we operate our ships in Singapore, we operate regulation. China themselves have escalated or brought forward the ICA use of low sulfur by 1 year ahead. Regulation is not bad, so I do not believe that regulation is bad. I think sometimes you may find the person who handles regulation bad, and that has been the experience of our members. And since I again say that because the Chatham rules apply here, so I will say very candidly, getting work done in ports, at least in this state, has been reported to be extremely difficult in the previous regime. And this regime has not yet taken off. In the previous regime, it was completely impossible. You couldn't move forward at all. So I've just answered you that portion of your question, sir.
Sure. Anybody else on the regulation?
About safety, I do agree. Safety, ISPS code and all, I'm in agreement with you. But what I say is 32 permissions. Safety is one of them for port and 82 permissions for a flotilla restaurant. 82.
Yeah, I just want to talk about regulation because we are the regulatory bodies for the seagoing ships, not for the IV vessels. As far as we are concerned, we have been trying to moderate. I don't want to use the word reduce. Moderate the regulations for coastal ships since 2008. And we have made separate rules for coastal ships, and we have been amending it, reducing it in consultation with the industry. And the latest in this reduced regulatory requirements is even we are permitting IV vessels to operate within 5 miles from the coast. IV vessels to operate within 5 miles from the coast, we issued a DGS order about 2 months ago. So even IV vessels, we are saying, okay, you have some additional safety requirements because they are operating in sea. The sea condition is different. The waves are different. The strength is required. The ship has to have a strength to carry the cargo. So you cannot have, safety is important. If tomorrow the ship can break into two. So we have added a little bit requirements, and we are even permitting inland vessels to operate on the coast within 5 miles, and we issued the order recently. So
you have liberalized lot in DG shipping. I must compliment you. I'm not talking about DG shipping, one permission that is. Because your ISPS code and all, you have liberalized, you have given it that it is not mandatory, you also made it not compulsory and all. That's good thing. Because that was taking a lot of time. But that is after the operation starts. I'm talking about before operations, to come up to the operation level. We have so much regulations. I'm not talking after operations.
Okay, Mr. Devi, I believe you also have to leave at some stage. So would you like to encapsulate for us, as the INSA head, what are the real major issues facing Indian shipping, which permit, and do they have any relation to Do they have any relation to Maritime Mumbai?
Ji. So, overarching scheme being, missed opportunities in Mumbai. I'm myself a Mumbaikar, so very happy to talk about this. I'll answer the 4 points that you made, but very quickly, focusing on the overarching, I think what are the missed opportunities? What are the opportunities that we lost? One is the creation of domestic transportation, using Mumbai for the purposes of domestic transportation of cargo along the seaway. This, I think, is a major opportunity we lost. I was myself, today Mumbai is the hub of shipping companies, and yet you find that despite all Indian shipping companies and foreign shipping companies having their headquarters in Mumbai, we do not have a coastal transportation system. One can get into, why it did not happen. We will talk on that later. Missed opportunity. Second missed opportunity that we spoke in the first session was about usage of transport for people also. So the Ro-Ro, what was that? The hovercrafts, etc. All of this, Damania started somebody, a lot of this. Yes, huge opportunity lost. My company, when I was working itself, we tried to do something out of Narman Point, and permissions were not forthcoming. Another opportunity we believe that Mumbai can use, and which Mumbai port is not there, but is bunkering. I think we are squarely on the, when you look at the transportation of even the mainline ships going in and out, our outer anchorage is in the way, is in the route. And this is a huge amount of opportunity for bunkering that Mumbai port can be used for. And we seem to be completely missing out on that. That is something that we can look at. Coming specifically to the Apli Mumbai in Mumbai plans, we note that the ferry wharf and the Princess Dock has been demarcated or at least planned, recommended for coastal shipping, berths and repairs. However, there is a strategic dry dock that you have indicated towards the BPX, where the BPX now stands, where the cruise terminal is. We do not know what is the meaning of a strategic dry dock, but we believe. Okay, but that, I think there is need for this to be near the, where the vessels are coming in for the purpose of actually doing your work. So this is just something that, so I think it's exceedingly important for Mumbai to become a hub. I'm exceedingly glad, sir, that's why I clapped when you said that Mumbai has to become the hub for the entire maritime trade. The Navy chose this location several years ago, and it was not, just out of some accident. Coming specifically to the points, 4 things that you asked. Shipping, why has shipping not grown? Shipping has not grown, sir, because we as a nation do not believe that shipping is critical to the nation. This is all across the board. Nobody believes that shipping is critical to the nation. Singapore works towards growing its shipping. A country like Jebel Ali, who came 20 years ago when I came into this business, sir, was nothing but a few buildings in downtown. Today has gone way, way ahead of us because they thought shipping is important. So what is important is for us to believe that shipping is important. Our unfortunate part is that we don't touch everybody's lives. So in the days when that MSC vessel had an accident out of Mumbai, those of you who are in Mumbai will remember that after the 5th day, there was a chance that SCI couldn't bring their tanker with petrol into Mumbai. And then suddenly Mumbai would have starved with petrol. So I think this is important. We need to realize, and perhaps we can learn from our Chinese colleagues here. His Excellency could educate us on what China has done to 800 million tons of cargo today move on the coast on Chinese flag, Chinese built vessels. I mean, that is what industry is about. So this is quickly, Indian shipping has grown, sir. I must correct this. Tankers, last year we grew 16%. World has grown only by 6%. Containers, world has grown by 4%. We've grown our container fleet by 22%. But what is happening is that all the owners prefer to operate outside India. Because as soon as I come into India, the taxation regimes ensure that I become non-competitive. We have a philosophy here where market access is given to non-Indian companies. Unlike any other industry, if you want to have a car, you need a Maruti Suzuki here. Suzuki cannot sell their cars. So without taking too much time, being aware of the fact that we are all running short of time, there are various issues which make shipping non-competitive in India. And therefore, this is linked to the last question that Saab had asked us about investment. Investment happens in shipping, but we don't see it happening in our nation because we are not allowed to become competitive. And we have just recently added insult to injury, which the DG referred to, Order 1, 2, and 3, where all of a sudden cargo which was being carried by Indian flagships were now decided that you should carry it with the foreigner. So really what you're telling the Indian ship owners is don't invest in India, invest outside India and do business in India. So this is the part. As far as coastal shipping is concerned, sir, there are 4 or 5 small issues which still make us non-competitive. 2 major issues being the cost of fuel and the cost of wages. Both of these get taxed, and because both of these get taxed and because our market access is given to the foreigner comes in and does the business and walks away. He doesn't, what we have to agree is that there is no long-term investment philosophy. At the end of the day, it's a hit and run. Somebody comes, takes something, does some business and walks away. And today's day of CAD, I will just give you an example. 50% of our crude is today carried on foreign flag ships. We import about 220 million tons of crude every year. If you take 110 million tons of crude and you take $10 per ton as freight, you're talking about $15 billion as freight going out of India. Yesterday the government said don't bring refrigerators and don't bring air conditioners. And on the other hand, here we are giving out freight to the foreigners close to about $15 billion. I mean, this is something somebody has to start looking at, sir. What more can Mumbai do? As I said, the opportunities were about using us for transportation. We believe, sir, that 2 of our members are seriously working on looking at using Mumbai as a transportation hub for the purpose of reworking cargo. This is, sir, I'll just get into a little bit of detail. A lot of cargo comes like what we call in our trade as FCL and LCL, which means less than container and more than container. And then you mix a box, you open one box, you take cargo. For example, let us look at Hamburg. What does Hamburg do? Hamburg serves as a gateway for a lot of European cargo. So containers come from various locations. These containers are opened, cargoes are reworked, and what is meant for Paris is put in one area. What is meant for Felixstowe is put in another area. All of this, and these cargoes are reworked and moved out. This is the way cargo moves. Mumbai is an excellent location for doing this. Mumbai is right on the west coast of India. It is developed and matured in terms of shipping. And we believe, sir, that there must be a space in India for the purpose, in Mumbai, for the purpose of handling a cargo hub. The point is that we all the time keep talking about these roads, etc., which requires a huge amount of investment and time and space, and money, public money also. Whereas the sea, sir, is God-given, it's a natural gift to us, it's what we have. All that we need to do is demarcate areas where these activities can be carried out, and we completely believe that, yes, there has to be recreation also, but there has to be business also. We should not, sir, therefore, miss out on these opportunities in domestic transportation, reworking of cargo, hub for cargo, and though it is not related to my industry, air cargo merging also with sea transportation is also exceedingly important. We see this in Europe, we see this in the US, where aircrafts carry small parcel cargo and they land in water, these amphibious aircrafts. And I think, sir, you must use your good offices to involve people to get into this. The last and the most important thing, sir, is that we as INSA, not that we know everything, but we have people, we interact internationally, we go into IMO, etc. And we have the intellectual space to be able to contribute. We would be more than happy to contribute, because when plans also, we would tell Admiral Rao also, when you make these plans, we would be happy, sir, if you give us an opportunity to be heard also from people like you, so that we can perhaps contribute. It is your choice what you want to take out of it and what you not. Thank you, sir.
Before I ask the Honorable Consul General to comment on some of the things with respect to China, all these suggestions or vision that you have surely been discussed by you with various governmental authorities. So could you give us, given that we are at Chatham House, can you give us where you think the principal blockages remain? And if it is to do with shipping ministry or if it has to do with anywhere else, we'd like to hear about that.
Right. Two places where we face, locally in Mumbai, as I said to you, the previous Minister of Ports was a major hurdle, very clearly. You couldn't move without doing anything, taking care. Today also, I believe that certain ports in the MMB zone, which fall under his political influence, have still continued to get stuck. I cannot get as simple as that. Second point, within the shipping ministry, I think the minister is somebody who appreciates what we do. However, the next level today is not convinced about the need of Indian flag shipping. And a statement to this effect was also made in the press that why do you need Indian flag? And I think this needs to be changed, sir. So candidly speaking, the bureaucratic support on this is not as much forthcoming as our minister is excited about this. So if you talk to the minister about it, he says, yes, Anil, kai paije sanga, kasa karaycha. He gets very excited about it and he's happy to move. You tell him, sir, Netherlands did this or China did that, he moves. But candidly speaking, it is that the top level, the captain of that team needs to be taken onto our side, because the players are all on our side, but the captain needs to be on our side.
Actually, talking about ideas, there was one point which I feel people should know about, the T.S. Dufferin. Their, I think, 75th anniversary, the entire alumni of Dufferin got together and they had a session. And they came out with what are the various things that you could do in Mumbai. Reception facilities, meaning how to deal with all the... Similarly, if you could please, use that set of documents, and I could go through them, but they are really a brain's trust, because that had about 75 years of experience of mariners in the merchant navy and what Mumbai could do. And that is an excellent document. Unfortunately, it has not got enough publicity. I would feel it should be done.
Input for everyone concerned. But considering what he said, would you like to say something? Is there a reason? No, I don't want to get you into a spot.
Yeah.
But clearly a lot of people say that much of the political push is sometimes negated by the what we call bureaucratic attitude.
No,
what is the real? He said that many people in the operating area don't seem to feel that this is a concern at all. And I think, correct me if I'm wrong, while shipping is being added in tonnage, the percentage of Indian trade which is moving in Indian bottoms is certainly declining. And if you ask somebody who's from the classical security point of view, this is part of that same belief that there will never be a large conflict, so it doesn't really matter.
No, I'll just respond to it, because I don't want to comment, or I cannot comment on certain things what he has mentioned about the bureaucratic issues and all. I will not comment on that. But I want to ask some questions to Mr. Devli. I know him for so many years. I have been asking questions, but let me ask you now openly some questions. You have our coastal shipping. About 25 years ago, it was 7%. Even after 25 years also, it is 7%. That means in the last 25 years, it has not picked up. We can blame everybody, or all people, but nothing has happened. Do you agree with me? Completely agree with me. Number two, Indian tonnage. Though, I'll come back to that. One more point. Indian tonnage, today it is 12.75 million GT. It was 11 point something about 3 years ago. It was about 6-7 years ago. So the growth, we cannot say zero, but very slow. Okay. So what we thought in when we made 2010-2020 vision document in 2008 or 9, we thought by 2020 it should become 35 million tons. We are today 12.75. Okay. Now, coming back to the coastal shipping, you said, I said, 25 years ago, it was 7%, today also 7%. I can list out the initiatives taken by the government for developing the coastal shipping. Whether it is, making 40%, your coastal-related, various dues and duties and the regulatory requirements from our side, we have reduced from, 2008 to 2018. I mean, number of initiatives have been taken. But the real issue is not with Ministry of Shipping. You know, I know. There are a number of other issues with other ministries also, which you should highlight. Nothing has happened in so many 25 years. That means no much development has happened in the coastal shipping in the last 25 years. Now, the government has taken a different view. That is the reason the cabotage has been relaxed. We are making another, try with the foreign ships now. Ultimately, what is required is that the roads should be decongested. The modal shift should happen. There is a study, if 5% of the cargo is moved from the road to ship, we save about 20 billion rupees.
Sir, I will answer.
5%. So
Yeah.
what is the priority of the government today?
Yeah.
I mean, I cannot blame, okay, in my small shipping field, I mean, you keep on, giving all kinds of incentives, and, we have been trying to, develop the shipping, but nothing has happened in the last 25 years.
Yeah.
I'm trying out one more option now today.
I will intervene only because both of you have got a fair amount of experience over the years, and I'm happy to relate that we are going to have a specific coastal shipping get-together, in which I think we should bring up, as you correctly said, it is not just pointing fingers at Ministry of Shipping. I think you need to bring up in quite a candid way where all are the bottlenecks. And I think you should also, and you and others, should bring out in a candid fashion, because otherwise what I've been hearing for the last 20 years is charges and counter charges between the owners and the Ministry of Shipping.
There have been
Success stories also, but
Exactly. So, sir, just quickly answer your thing. First of all, fleet has grown. So it is incorrect to say that fleet has not grown. As I said to you just now, tankers have grown by 16%, containers have grown by 22%. I would say, notwithstanding whatever the Ministry of Shipping does, I must clarify that the DG Shipping has been an absolute, the only single entity that has stood along with us.
Yeah, that's
Yeah?
what I said earlier.
Yeah, I'll say this. I'll say this all along the road.
But I think
that
everyone-
even as late as 1 month ago, the DG Shipping stood by us on a public platform, disagreeing with the Ministry of Shipping. Correct? Yeah. So therefore, I did not say the DG Shipping, I said the Ministry of Shipping, and that too I said one single person, the captain of the team does not, and I will say this candidly, the Secretary Shipping today does not believe that Indian shipping is important. If Secretary Shipping does not believe it is important, I am doomed. After all, he is the captain of my team. So we will leave it. Quickly coming to the point that you made, why haven't we grown? Our fleet has grown, but we don't want to do business in India. We cannot do business in India because our bunkers are costly and our tax on seafarers. And the same legislation that this ministry has bought, and I'm not saying you are at all responsible for it, gives duty-free access to the foreigner. Why don't you give duty-free access to an Indian company also? That is all I'm saying. Put us on a level playing ground with the foreigner. I have no complaints. Let foreigners come in. I myself go outside India and keep saying, come and flag in India. And the foreigners ask me, why do you flag in India? They ask me why I flag in India, sir. So the point, candidly, the point here is that we are growing. Bharat is growing, Seven Islands is growing, SCI is growing, but we are not doing business in India. We cannot do business. We would love to do business in India, and this is where I'd really love to hear from His Excellency from China, how China has promoted its own fleet. Wonderful.
no, of course,
One small point also I want to add that before, small point, half a minute only. Besides Ministry of Shipping, there are other ministries which plays major role in whatever problems you are saying. We should bring them also, into this. That's all.
okay, of course, Of course, yeah, sure. I just want to give the floor to the Honorable Consul General. But I would like to underline, of course, that the Chinese ecosystem is vastly different.
Different from ours.
And therefore, many things which apply to China do not apply here. And I think all of us recognize that. Despite all that, despite the differences in their system, they have done a wonderful job in being able to create growth. And I think we'd like to hear your views in this particular sector. And especially since China opened up so majorly, and you had so many private players from different countries, the regulatory regime, and let's just say with respect to safety and with respect to security, how did you go about it, and what would you like to comment on that? Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Admiral. And I hope I have a magic wand here.
Yeah, I know.
And,
But you did seem to have one the last
at the end of the
years.
day, there is no magic wand. So I would, again, want to start from the normal things, the infrastructure thing. I want to really pay special tribute to...
Yes, it's on. It's
not working.
Sir, you can use this. Yes.
Thank you. It's better now? Okay. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. Always with my good friend Kalantri. Yeah. I want to start by paying tribute to my good friend, President Desai, the ORF, for initiating such a wonderful. I think this is a splendid discussion. Although I've been here for only like half an hour, I can feel it's already kind of a light-up discussion, wonderful discussion. That's something I would say, people would say, long overdue. We need such kind of discussion to really, this is very much solid, and it helps the development. So when Mr. Desai mentioned this to me, I thought it's a great idea. We need to support, and I came up to this occasion, and I very happy to see also my good colleague, the Dutch colleague. He's actually also a China expert, although he just left. I thought with him here, he can really speak both for China and his home country. And I'm very happy to see some old friends, and also very glad to meet some new friends here, especially from Honorable Ministry of Shipping, and from Admiral from the talk mentioned about security, all these things, and also people in the shipping business. You are really the experts in this area. So my purpose here is really not to talk about a special business, but I think in coming back to what our moderator, Admiral Chopra mentioned, a more kind of mindset issue. We start from these basics. I would like to maybe explore a little bit with share with our friends this wonderful team of this really to talk about some of the things that we need to think about. First of all is the idea. I hear people talk about missed opportunities and future potentials. If I may make maybe some small suggestion, is that we don't spend too much time on missed opportunities, so that we don't get into the blame gaming issue, the problem. Maybe we'll focus on the future potentials, the great opportunities that's lying before us. Yeah. I think everybody now look at China. Sometimes the development. To put it very simply, I would say it's very much relevant with the topic here today, maritime development, if I may put a word. Our reform and opening up, Mr. Admiral just mentioned 40 years ago, this year is indeed the 40th anniversary, started from a little fishing village, so maritime again, always maritime development, called Shenzhen, by the side of Hong Kong. At that time, now we see so many similar fishing villages surrounding Mumbai. And I would say area anywhere in Mumbai or in any other place of the world, a coastal line. So it's a small fishing village that we started the reform and opening up. 40 years later, now it's one of the top 5 ports of the world. Now, and in that area, it gathers all the world's top 10 ports, most of the top 10 ports, with Shanghai, with Hong Kong, with Shenzhen, with Ningbo, with Guangzhou, all these ports. I think, again, our colleague mentioned very right, all the countries different in systems, even in geography. You know, you can't compare or require the same geography, but there are some, I think, points that we think helped with the development. Deng Xiaoping mentioned that if you want to get rich, build the road first. That's a very simple line. So our reform really started with a fishing village, with a maritime development. Why? Because it's cheap, it's open, it's easier. In the old times, we don't feel shy to say that when mainland is not well developed, people just swim over. They vote with their feet to Hong Kong, you know, before they turn over. And nowadays you see many industries coming back because Hong Kong is too congested, is limited for the most of the business to come to the coastal area. And I think here there is a similarity in terms of development stage between the southeastern coastal area of China, what I mentioned, these cluster of top ports, and with the southwestern coastal area of India. Here is Mumbai at its center. I think my purpose as the Consul General to Mumbai, covering the state of Maharashtra and Karnataka, all these southwestern coastal area, I think very much similar to China's reform, really the pioneer areas of China's reform and development, the southeastern coastal area, with the ports developing. You know, it comes with first of all, the improvement of the port infrastructure, port facilities. Then it comes with the port industrial zones. These ideas, they turn the whole surrounding area into industrial zones. And then they turn into new districts, like the city has a new district. And then they gradually renovate the whole new city. I mean, they don't need to tear down. They get in fact, they provide a better protection of the cultural heritage sites of the cities. If you look at the old city, Shanghai, old city, Canton, old city, Hong Kong, many of the historic sites were better protected because of the economic development. So I think the idea of really reform and opening up in China, starting with the fishing village, really it's a very pragmatic one, and it started with the whole idea of pro-development, of improving people's living standard. Another thing I want to share is we all talk about the infrastructure. Maybe some of the port facilities in China, they have a better connection to the inland waterways, like Shanghai is close to the Yangtze, is at the opening mouth of the Yangtze River, and Guangzhou and Hong Kong at the facing the Pearl River. So all these inland waterways, they are considered as golden waterways in China. I hope that in the future we can promote more, besides these port facility exchange, those inland, either for navigation or other environmental protection. Nowadays, the whole tributary of the Yangtze River and the Pearl Delta area, I mean, both at the middle, and the central and the southern part of China, all these integrated system of navigation, environmental protection. I'm happy to see some of the positive results coming out. Used in the past, the fish from these rivers, even the tributaries, you cannot eat. The fisherman has to travel far away. But recently, I'm happy to report that they have, under some of these, after it takes tens of years, some of the tributaries, they provide their very good fishing, agricultural products very good for domestic and even for international markets. So I think inland waterways, in connection with the international, with the coastal, with the sea lanes, provides a kind of integrated system for navigation, for development. Okay, so first is the idea for reform and opening up. Second is really the integration of the inland and international sea lanes. And thirdly, I want to also maybe, again, really to maybe come back to what our moderator just also mentioned. The purpose of China's either development or coming to the maritime issue is always, it comes back to what is the general purpose of a country. For my country, I'm a diplomat, but I have to serve for development, and I'm serving a certain region, so I have to foster regional cooperation. But I always start from the basics. What is the purpose of China? It's always to, I would say, it comes back to reform and opening up, but Mr. Deng Xiaoping, the architect of Chinese reform and opening up, put it very easily and clearly in 2 words. It's development and peace. It's very simple, and we have to, in each and every line, follow these 2 principles. Then you'll get an answer to all the questions about China. So here, again, when we talk about maritime issue, maritime security, all these things, we have, to understand China's purpose, always these 2 areas. First is for development. So when we talk about improving port facilities, it's to improve the living standard. It's to make people have a decent life. It's to share with the surrounding area, and it's to make our cities better, make our coastlines more ecological, and also to, in terms of country, make our region, our countries, 2 countries, better China, better India, and if you put it even higher, it's better world. So development always number 1. And secondly, also peace. Peace is very important in each and every foreign and security policy. So when we talk about maritime, always, from my country's point of view, always to make sure that we always be a staunch force for peace. And if there is anything we are against or we are worrisome, is those Cold War mentalities, such as certain gangs or certain military alliance against another country. I would say, put it very, very clearly, that's something we never engage in and we will not support. So that's the government policy. It's very simple and clear. It's all based from peace and development.
Thank you.
Thank you. I want to really commend all these wonderful such ideas and suggestions, and really look forward to get to you. Some of the colleagues I haven't got a chance to speak to, so I may not know the background, but we will definitely be happy to be in touch with you and to I would say to share mutual, to learn from each other. The other day, I was with the Chief Minister, Honorable Chief Minister, at the Metro Line 3's first breakthrough. It's done by a Shanghai company, Shanghai Metro Construction Company, with joint venture with Indian company. The reason why there are 30 stations for Metro Line 3. They are the first to get the breakthrough, to meet the breakthrough deadline. And the reason why I said, because it's always, if China and India join hands together, we are always good and fast. Not necessarily to be the first, but always we are good and fast. There are people who are afraid really about the power of China and India really working together, the potential working together. So
Thank you, Mr. Consul General. Since you mentioned Deng Xiaoping a couple of times, I would like to just say that the 2 fundamental things which Deng said, which changed mindsets and which are important at our stage of development, and people forget. One is said it's not a crime to be rich. And second, he said that it does, as far as ideology is concerned, he said it doesn't matter which color the cat is, black or white, as long as it catches mice. So there was both pragmatism and ideology, and it changed the face of China. I think many of our commentators in this country have said that there is a certain illegitimacy to wealth, which has been created over the years in India. And since all development will lead to prosperity and somebody is going to get rich, there is huge trade deficits in our mindsets. Whether that's a good thing or a bad thing, I leave to each one of us to discuss or to think about. But I think, as many people have said, that India's real challenge and Mumbai's real challenge, even from this morning I can see, is going to be on discarding the old mindsets and adopting the new. And if we can't, then matters maritime as well as other places, we are going to find it difficult to go forward. So I would like to give the floor to Mr. Bhaskar, who wanted to. You didn't want to say that? He said that? Okay. So we are getting on towards a little latish lunch, but this aspect of maritime, the session to bring your mind again, originated from the belief that Mumbai is geographically and culturally well placed to adopt the leadership role in the larger Indo-Pacific, in the Asian century, in the maritime century, and all these larger big picture things that we talk about. But we are still bogged down in our own livability and in our own other issues for which we still have not found a solution. So, of course, as I have mentioned and as Dhaval said, this is only the first of hopefully many roundtables which ORF is taking upon itself to re-emphasize again and again the links between Mumbai, the ocean, its maritime future, and its actual place in the sun. I think we are not even ambitious. We are still talking of Mumbai becoming like Singapore or Hong Kong. We should be talking of Mumbai becoming far larger than that in the context of its geography and in the context of India's economic potential. And sometimes we limit our own ambitions and we really become cynical about whether we can go ahead. But there are fundamental mindsets which have come to fore today, and I think in my closing remarks at the end of the day, I will address them because I think they are important in the larger picture. And before I wind up this session on these 4 issues, those of us who have not spoken are most welcome to give. Yeah. Can we just 1 minute? So can we just? No,
What does taxation?
no, I think we'll. Excuse me, Mr. Nayanan, please. Excuse me. Can we just have the floor there, please?
I write about energy, oil and gas, to be specific. You see, I think 2 or 3 years back, Mumbai Port Trust had put across a proposal for setting up an LNG terminal on the outskirts. I think,
Sure.
I forgot the name of the location. That, according to me, would have been a very big game changer as far as providing clean energy to the city for its own growth. Because without energy, no city or no hinterland around it can grow. But that, from what I understand from the Port Trust, that whole issue has got kind of sidelined because of turf war between the oil ministry and the shipping ministry. The oil ministry has doubled down the line. It does not want Dabhol to suffer. It feels that if Mumbai Port Trust's LNG terminal comes up here, Dabhol will lose business. I don't think so. But despite whatever Mr. Gadkari has been, his dynamism or whatever, he has been unable to push that. So according to me, this as a Mumbai becoming an energy hub for the city, also clean energy hub. Of course, Bombay High produces oil and gas, but gas and oil are both depleting. We are not a gas and oil rich country. So import of gas, import of oil is inevitable for us. So if we have a LNG terminal coming up not far away from the port, given all the safety issues in place, I think that is one of the issues that we should raise up and push it through.
Okay, so any comments from anyone on this particular statement about Mumbai as an energy hub as opposed to shipping?
I think already we have at Cochin and Dabhol, and in Gujarat also we have the LNG terminals. I mean, I am not very sure about this. There was a proposal to have one in Mumbai. But I would just, mention this to you. Even in the Cochin LNG terminal today, they are just storing it. It is not.
Because of other issues.
Yeah, other issues. So at the moment, this because the gas, the dynamics is very, it's very flexible and very fast. Today you may require it. Tomorrow you may not require it. So already we have quite a few on the western side, but what we lack is on the eastern side.
We're getting there. Ennore is coming up.
Yeah.
Dhamra is coming up. Outside Calcutta, there's one coming up. Karaikal one is being proposed. There's a whole network of them coming up.
Yes, we are short by 100 million cubic meters. 100 million. And in the gas. And also our pipeline is hardly 40% occupied. Gas pipeline. The main grid. So there is a shortage of gas.
Import of gas is inevitable.
I think before I go on to Admiral Rao, there is an issue which comes up in the development of Mumbai, which has been bandied about quite a bit. And I am not going to let my older colleague, the Admiral here, try and fight that all alone. So I'm going to venture into harm's way, so to speak. And that is that the Navy is okay, all security agencies have many often been seen as, restricting development because of security concerns that they may voice. Now, of course, this will be discussed in the next possible roundtable. But I think those of us around the table are all well aware and should be made clear to people that you meet that the Navy actually has very little to do with development and growth. But the Navy has been tasked after 26/11 as the ultimate responsibility of maritime security, including coastal security, and port security and everything else lies with the Navy. So the Navy will continue to put up its hand whenever it feels that there is an issue. However, I can say this with some authority, having been the CNC here in Western Naval Command and DG of the Coast Guard, that there is never an attempt by the Navy to squash any project. However, the Navy has to work within the ambit of the framework which is laid out to it by larger governmental procedures. And therefore, there is no way that when a proposal comes which may affect security, that the Navy will not be able to say that. Of course, I'm going to let the Admiral speak on this himself, but I didn't want him to just be, questioned on the very aspect of these security issues which form part and parcel of everyday affairs. We've become used to a world which was a Cold War, now has become a hot peace. But please remember that, and we have got used to a world and we talk about terrorism and pirates, but there are other kinds of threats, and many threats can emanate from the sea, even from non-state actors. Because the technologies today exist in terms of underwater vessels, in terms of swarms, in terms of precision guidance, in terms of delivery capability, which threaten all cities. And gone are the days when something like Mumbai can ignore it entirely. And I'll say one thing, that many times in the past, India has grown a lot of wealth, and we have failed to secure it in many of our ancient times. And we should not be making that mistake again. So as we grow, as we create wealth, there is a place for security which must have its own say, and we should not be seen as being anti-development or anti-growth. Since I have said this, is there any specific place or issue in which you think, and there was in the recent past, is there anything that you feel the Navy can conjoin better to be able to voice its concerns than after a project is put on the ground?
Sir, I may like to say this, that we've been the beneficiary of the Navy, not just here in India, but even externally. Somalia, for example, all of these are the areas where the Navy stood by us, and we continue to remain thankful to them. We'd only like like to offer ourselves, because there are certain sensitive areas like this where, it is not possible for the person in uniform to be able to speak. And yes, so I'm glad that you raised this. I talk about this informally, but I'd be happy for INSA to be used as a forum to voice anything that needs to be done on behalf of the Navy, because we see ourselves as somebody subsidiary to the Navy. We see ourselves behind the Navy, and we appreciate everything that you guys do for us. So anytime, I can't say this to you personally, but I say this to you as an organization, where INSA can be used to voice delicate issues, please use me. I'm anyway known as somebody who shoots my mouth off. So, I will only carry it further. Thank you.
If there's nothing else, thank you so much for all your views. We value all of them. And I think we can continue over lunch. And as I said, these are issues we can keep at it. We're not going to leave it after one round table or one day of seminar. And we will keep raising these issues and we will provoke them, not for creating controversy, not for shooting our mouth off, as you said, but to get to the bottom of some of the debates which have been plaguing us for a while. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you everyone for another productive session. We now break for lunch. We are back at 3 o'clock for our third roundtable.